Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/BestOf for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. This post was collected by Boring History Fan, and their tagline is, "I'll be retaining my butt virginity." There's also a soft note as credit to Direct Caterpillar 77 for reminding Boring History Fan about this one, which implies some kind of best of cabal that collects these posts in some organized group. The original OP is Illuminate in r/ChatGPT. Posted September 23rd, 2025. Opposing counsel just filed a ChatGPT hallucination with the court. Too long didn't read. Opposing counsel just filed a brief that is 100% an AI hallucination. The hearing is on Tuesday. I'm an attorney practicing civil litigation. Without going too far into it, we represent a client who has been sued over a commercial licensing agreement. Opposing counsel is a collections firm. Definitely not very tech savvy, and generally they just try their best to keep their heads above water. Recently, we filed a motion to dismiss, and because of the proximity to the trial date, the court ordered shortened time for them to respond. They filed an opposition, never served it to us, and I went ahead and downloaded it from the court's website. When I realized it was late, I began reading it, and it was damning. Cases I had never heard of with perfect quotes that absolutely destroyed the basis of our motion. I like to think I'm pretty good at legal research and writing, and generally try to be familiar with relevant cases prior to filing a motion. Granted, there's a lot of case law, and it can be easy to miss authority. Still, this was absurd. State Supreme Court cases which held the exact opposite of my client's position. Multiple appellate court cases which used entirely different standards to the ones I stated in my motion. It was devastating. Then, I began looking up the cited cases, just in case I could distinguish the facts, or make some colorable argument for why my motion wasn't a complete waste of the court's time. That's when I discovered they didn't exist. Or the case name existed, but the citation didn't. Or the citation existed, but the quote didn't appear in the text. I began a spreadsheet, listing out the cases, the propositions, quotes contained in the brief, and then an analysis of what was wrong. By the end of my analysis, I determined that every single case cited in the brief was inaccurate, and not a single quote existed. I was half relieved and half astounded. Relieved that I didn't completely miss the mark in my pleadings, but also astounded that a colleague would file something like this with the court. It was utterly false. Nothing, not the argument, not the law, not the quotes, was accurate. So, real quick with just the straight up irony of this, the double dashes that we're seeing here, in 90% of text editors except for Reddit, this double dash makes an M dash, which means that this was in fact typed by hand. Just a funny observation. Then, I started looking at all the telltale signs of AI. The use of M dashes, just like I just used, dash dash, did you catch it? The formatting, the random bolding and bullet points, the fact that it was unnecessarily signed under penalty of perjury. The caption page used the judge's nickname and the information was out of order. My jurisdiction is pretty specific on how the judge's name, department, case name, hearing date, etc. are all laid out on the front page. It hit me. This attorney was under a time crunch and just ran the whole thing through ChatGPT, copied and pasted it, and filed it. This attorney has been practicing almost as long as I've been alive, and my guess is that he has no idea that AI will hallucinate authority to support your position, whether it exists or not. Needless to say, my reply brief was unequivocal about my findings. I included the chart I had created and was very clear about an attorney's duty of candor to the court. The hearing is next Tuesday, and I can't wait to see what the judge does with this. It's going to be a learning experience for everyone. Edit. He just filed a motion to be relieved as counsel. Edit 2. The hearing on the motion to be relieved as counsel is set for the same day as the hearing on the motion to dismiss. He's not getting out of this one. Edit 3. I must admit I came away from that hearing a bit deflated. The motion was not successful, and the trial will continue as scheduled. God, do I feel that. Opposing counsel, who signed the brief, did not appear at the hearing. He sent an associate attorney who knew nothing aside from saying, "We're investigating the matter." The court was very clear that these were misleading and false statements of the law, and noted that the court's own research attorneys did not catch the bogus citations until they read my reply. The motion to be relieved as counsel was withdrawn. The court did, however, set an order to show cause, OSC, hearing in October as to whether the court should report the attorney to the state bar for reportable misconduct of misleading a judicial officer by an artifice or false statement of fact or law, or offering evidence that the lawyer knows to be false. Bus and Prof Code Section 6086. Sub D, California Rule of Professional Responsibility 3.3 Sub D A1A3. The OSC is set for after trial is over, so it will not have any impact on the case. I had hoped to have more for you all who expressed interest, but it looks like we're waiting until October. Edit 4. If you're still hanging on, we won the case on the merits. The same associate from the hearing tried the case himself and failed miserably. The OSC for his boss is still slated for October. The court told the associate to look up the latest case of AI malfeasance, Nolan v. Land of the Free, LP, prior to that hearing. Additional context in the comments. Commenter 1. He just filed a motion to be relieved as counsel? On what basis? OP responds, he says it's irreconcilable differences with his client. I have my doubts. Further down the comment chain. I know from your postings that you're super excited about seeing this one go down, but I'd be really hesitant to go hard on the guy at the hearing. The facts and briefs should speak for themselves. You probably don't get a whole lot for your client by really dunking on the guy at the hearing. The court should do that for you, or in any case understands what's happening and doesn't likely need you to go all scorched earth to make its decision. The other thing to consider is that this other attorney may still keep practicing. You may see him again, and while you may be within your rights to really dunk on him, he may not forget you going the extra mile to really stick it to him. Is it worth it? You probably already won. It may be, but I'm not sure. OP responds, you're absolutely right. I have no intention of dunking on him. I gave the court the information it needs to reach its conclusion. There is nothing more that can be gained from making a spectacle. My main point of interest is seeing how the court approaches this. Commenter. Quote, that the lawyer knows to be false, end quote, is so annoying when it comes to passing along AI slop. I didn't know it was false. I trusted the AI. OP responds, I do want to note that the court had a typo in its order. The bus and proof code section the court is referring to is 66.8, but the court is citing the Rules of Professional Responsibility 3.3, in which knows is a defined term, per the rules. Quote, knowingly, known, or knows, means the actual knowledge of the fact in question. A person's knowledge may be inferred from circumstances. I think here we can infer that the use of AI without checking the sources would still fall under known, but that's not an argument for us to make. Update. Opposing counsel just filed a ChatGPT hallucination with the court. October 15th, 2025. I can't believe it's already been a month since my original post, which you can find here. As a quick recap, opposing counsel filed a brief with the court that was 100% an AI hallucination. Every citation, every case, every quote was entirely fabricated. The arguments were fantastic, but the law was bogus. I made the court aware of the issue in my responding brief. The court issued an order to show cause, OSC, for why the attorney should not be reported to the state bar. Now, for the update. The court held the OSC, and the attorney appeared in person and was plainly remorseful. He was older, had been practicing for over 35 years, and it was clear he felt bad about the whole thing. He told the court that a junior associate who was no longer with the firm had submitted the brief to him. He had signed it without looking and was unaware of the issue until he sent a different attorney to argue the motion at the hearing. The court seemed torn. On the one hand, there was a lack of supervision of the younger attorney. The cases cited were clearly misleading, and the attorney wasn't even paying enough attention to withdraw the brief when it was brought to the court's attention. On the other hand, he was remorseful, had no history of discipline with the state bar, and had taken remedial measures, aka firing the offending attorney. In the end, the court sanctioned him $750, below the threshold for reporting to the state bar. Are you kidding? That's like an hour and a half worth of pay for the attorney. Payable to the court clerk, ordered that he send apology letters to both us and his client, and ordered that he file the proofs of service with the court. While not the absolute beating the court could have dished out based on the appellate court's ruling in Nolan v. Land of the Free LP, which the court cited in its OSC, it was commensurate with the harm. While the OSC was still pending, we ended up going to trial and won the case on the merits. I think that may have had some bearing on the court's ruling, as we were in no way prejudiced by the offending brief. I guess at the end of the day, all is well that ends well. Everyone lived to fight another day, and we all learned a valuable lesson. Always check your sites. Additional comments. Commenter: what's the chance he was lying about the other attorney doing it? OP responds: doubtful. He was older and probably had no idea what AI was, much less ever used it. Either he was a very good liar, or he was genuinely remorseful over the whole issue. The court seemed to think the latter, and I tend to agree. Commenter: what happened to the junior attorney? Seems the sanction was fair for the supervisor, who didn't knowingly submit an untrue brief, but the junior should clearly face worse sanctions. OP responds: I question that too, and we will never know. I guess the court figured losing his job was punishment enough. This may have been intentional on the court's part, but I feel that forcing someone to write an apology to their client for using ChatGPT when writing their opposition opens them up to a malpractice suit. But this is also why ChatGPT isn't a Google search engine. Because it hallucinates and makes mistakes in order to placate you, because these environmental parasites pretty much rely off of the idea that the consumer must be happy no matter what, so they return to ChatGPT, which can oftentimes lead to them stretching a few things around a little bit to try and make the user as satisfied as possible. The fact that I can complain and rant towards any large language model and purposely condition it to give me a dog-friendly chocolate sundae recipe where the main ingredient is 90% chocolate, yeah, it's not a trustworthy source. And if you're about to go in the comment section and go, well, yeah, you're trying to get the language model to give you exactly what you're looking for. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Is that if you tell ChatGPT you're looking for evidence or statistics or for it to write some kind of legal rebuttal towards this kind of documentation here, it's going to do that, even if it has to make shit up to fit your narrative. And if you think ChatGPT is infallible, then boy, do I have news for you. This post was collected by Glumcraft4652. The original OP is My Throwaway for You 2D. Posted in r/relationships December 14th, 2015. My, 23 female, mother, 24 female, didn't realize how much I helped around the house until I moved out, and now she wants me back. I have a big family. I grew up living with 2 younger brothers, 1 younger sister, grandparents, and my mom and dad. I'm significantly the oldest kid in my family, 8 years older than John, my brother, the second oldest in the house. My parents never assigned chores to any of us growing up, but I helped out around the house a lot. I've just always been very cleanly and organized, and I never minded it. I was always cleaning, vacuuming, doing dishes, helping cook, doing the family's laundry, etc. Nobody forced this role on me, but nobody really appreciated it or thanked me either. Again, I didn't really mind. I was just being a dutiful daughter/responsible person. I lived at home through college. I grew up in my college town, so I just commuted. A few months ago, however, I had decided that I had saved enough money and got an apartment with some of my college friends. Apparently, since I've moved out, our family situation has become chaotic and my mom feels overwhelmed. No one helps her at all with any chores. She basically told me that she had no idea how much I was helping out around the house until I moved out. Because I was always doing stuff without being asked, she didn't really know who was keeping everything clean and just assumed it was a joint effort from the whole family. Now that nobody is around to silently look after everyone, everything is a mess. Everyone in my home has developed a string of messy bad habits because somebody else was taking care of them all the time. She said it's my responsibility that no one in the family has learned to properly take care of themselves growing up, and wants me to move back home. I don't know if I should do it. I guess growing up, especially with my younger siblings, I was just always the default babysitter. Gotta love the irony of your mother telling you it's your responsibility that no one in the family learned how to properly take care of themselves. I was just used to taking care of them, so even when they got to the age where they were old enough to take care of themselves, I was too far in the habit. I don't know how me moving back home will totally fix that, though I do feel a little responsible. Too long didn't read, grew up taking care of my family and household duties. I moved out and my home has become a mess. No one realized how much I cleaned up around the house until I was gone. And now, my mom wants me to move back. Top/relevant comments. Deleted user. She said it's my responsibility that no one in the family has learned to properly take care of themselves growing up. That's crazy! That was her responsibility! She just wants your free labor. That's what I'm saying, dude. User MEJ responds, this is it. Pretty sure it's the responsibility of the parents, not the kids, to teach and nurture. User C1Odd or Claude. To your mom, tough shit. You're not responsible at all and owe her nothing in this. 2 younger brothers, 1 younger sister, grandparents, and my mom and dad. That is 7 people who can clean the damned house. My guess is it's either A, other issues that your mom is deflecting, or B, she's lazy and figured that since she trained 1 kid, that kid would train the rest. For God's sake, don't move back. If she needs help, look up maid services she can hire. User Duckrun comments. Normal response. Oh my god, dear, I had no idea you did everything around here. How awful. I should have noticed and then set up a roster so that we could all do our share. I'm so sorry. You really shouldn't have done all of that by yourself. You've spoiled us, sweetheart. You really are too kind. Here's a book about standing up for yourself and a big thank you present. Your mom. We didn't know you did all that work. We will not thank you. We will blame you. We will not change. Now come back and be our slave. Deleted user comments. Well, that ship has sailed. Your mom can't expect you to live with her forever. Just tell her it's nice that she misses you, but you're a young adult now, and this had to happen sooner or later. She can hire a cleaner if that's all she misses about you being gone. Final update 37 days later. Too long didn't read original. Grew up taking care of my family and household duties. I moved out and my home has become a mess. No one realized how much I cleaned up around the house until I was gone, and now my mom wants me to move back. I was kind of surprised by how much everyone's response to my mother was a resounding no. It made me feel silly for even considering it. There was really no benefit to keep enabling my mom and move back home. Well, Reddit, I'm sad to say that turning my mom down was the first time I had ever really stood up to her, and it did not go well. She instantly started guilt-tripping me, how she had raised me, how family was everything, how I was being selfish and abandoning her. When that didn't work, her insults turned more aggressive. She said I owed her money, the money it cost to raise me, put me through college. My parents paid partial tuition, the accumulation of rent for letting me live at home during college. At no point had we ever discussed this, etc. Again, she pressed that I was taking advantage of the family by not moving back home and helping out. I don't want to get into too much detail because I am still very, very sad about how this has turned out, but my mom hasn't responded to my calls in weeks. She's antagonized me against the whole family, telling my siblings that I did something ambiguously terrible and am abandoning the family. I had a phone conversation with my sister Rachel, who said something along the lines of, my mom said you did something really mean to her. She won't tell us what, but she said that's why she made you move out. I've never been really close to my siblings, but I'm kind of taken aback how little everyone seems to care that I'm gone. Recently, my mom put up a picture on Facebook of the whole family, with me absent, captioned, the only people in my life I'll ever need. I'm trying to focus on my work and my friends to get through this, but I'm in a very sad place right now. Too long didn't read, mom didn't take it well that I'm not moving home. She's completely cut me out of her life and is trying to turn my family against me. Top/relevant comments. Red Rose Beetle. She's going through an extinction burst, stepping up the behaviors that have worked in the past in order to make you bend to her will. Stay strong. When you doubt yourself, just remember that your mother doesn't care about you. She cares about what you can do for her. If she remotely cared about you, she wouldn't be acting this way. OP responds, thank you for this perspective. I think this makes a lot of sense. I'm no longer going to reinforce her behavior, and I'm going to stop contacting her. I get the feeling that she likes that I'm struggling to reach out to her, and wants to make me suffer. Deleted user. Wow, the Facebook thing would kind of seal it for me. I'd screenshot that and someday in the future, when she calls you needing help with something, I'd pull out that picture and tell her that she could just call one of the other people, since that's all she'll ever need. User Inevitable Name responds, if I were really in need of reminding what I meant to my mother, I'd set that as her profile pic in my phone. User Teardrops87 comments, first of all, quit calling mom. All you're doing is making her feel better by allowing her to give you the silent treatment. Stop doing that. And go about living your life. Hell, unfollow her on Facebook so you don't have to see any of the shit she posts. If any of your siblings call again, ask if they notice how filthy the house has gotten since you left. Tell them you were the one keeping the house clean, and mom's pissed because you refused to come back home and play servant. If they get pissy too, block their numbers and carry on with your life. Things will cool down in a few months, and you can reestablish a relationship with your family on your own terms. User Books on the Shelf comments, first of all, quit calling mom. All you're doing is making her feel better by allowing her to give you the silent treatment. Stop doing that and go about living your life. Hell, unfollow her on Facebook so you don't have to see any of that shit she posts. My throwaway for you, Todd. Is it Todd or 2D? Todd usually has another D, so I just assume it was 2D. Anyways, I swear if you quit calling your mom, she'll start calling you again. Right now, she loves that she's punishing you. She feels justified for making you feel bad. Just remember that. She thinks she has the right to make you feel terrible. OP responds, it literally never occurred to me until now that she's ignoring me because she likes that I'm still reaching out and suffering. Well, I'm done now. I'm honestly so shocked still how much my mom seems to enjoy my guilt. Route 18 comments, the fact that you spent your entire time at that house doing chores without being asked and without any appreciation, only to be harassed and abused when you refuse to go back to that situation, makes my blood boil. You made the right choice, OP. You don't need family who treats you like trash. Referring to the mother's behavior as an extinction burst is just perfect. Basically, an extinction burst is an attempt to reclaim previous behaviors that were rewarded in a final fight of fury, whether it's a tantrum or some kind of other malicious action. Essentially a way to try and get back what's being taken from you. This could be something as simple as a child who normally goes to the supermarket with his mom and gets a toy every time. The moment she says no, the child throws a tantrum in the supermarket knowing that, well, I always get a toy when we go here, so I should get one now. Throws a tantrum. That's an extinction burst. It's a Hail Mary attempt to get what they want. In this case, the extinction burst is the mother posting shit like that on Facebook and treating her daughter like this when she found out that the daughter was the one who was cleaning the house and keeping her schedule free. It's clear that she has no intentions or desires to actually be a mother to her children or family and have them pick up some of the slack, so instead, it's now OP's responsibility because they were the one keeping up with the slack on their own. So therefore, it should be their responsibility to pass the torch down, not the mom's to then reinforce new behaviors within the kids, something that she failed to do. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, Satan is not a pogo stick. The original OP is Throwaway 839427, posted to r/relationship advice, September 7th, 2021. I think my boyfriend is lying about being in medical school. I, 26 female, have been dating Sam, 31 male, for about 4 months now. We met online, and he told me he was going to be a doctor. The first 2 months were fine, but the last 2 months, I've started to feel like he hasn't been honest about several aspects of his life. The biggest being him in medical school. He used to live overseas and was in medical school there for a short time. I'm pretty sure this is true because I've seen pictures. That was about 5 years ago. The school that he says he goes to is fairly prestigious, and I have another friend, Jason, who graduated with a medical degree from the same school. Jason has told me how difficult the program was, and how he never had time for anything besides studying. Jason also said that nobody in his program worked. Sam works 40 hours a week in an office, and I've never once seen him study. He always seems to have a completely open schedule to hang out all the time, which I thought was odd. I asked him why he's never studying, and he said he doesn't need to. I was always a good test taker and never studied a lot in college, but I still feel like medical school is a whole different ballgame. I've spent a lot of time at Sam's house and have never seen a single document suggesting he was in school. Textbooks, assignments, nothing. He also has let me use both of his computers, and I've never seen anything on his history or anything suggesting anything to do with school. I don't know about you guys, but when I was in school, I had papers all over my house and my computer always had school stuff on it. A few weeks ago, we were at dinner, and I can't remember how this was brought up, but he mentioned that the human ear has 30-something bones in it. I know from high school biology that it has 3 bones, and I said he was wrong. He said something to the effect of, "I'm a medical student. How are you going to tell me I'm wrong?" So I Googled it right in front of him and showed him that I was correct, and he seemed mad. I then asked him how many bones were in the human body, and he was wrong again. I feel like this is pretty basic stuff a medical student would know, right? Even I know that. So this week I've been feeling suspicious, so I decided to prod. I asked him if I could come sit in on one of his classes, and he said his school doesn't do that. Fine. I asked if we could meet up on campus for lunch, and he said I couldn't come because you need a student ID to get on campus due to COVID. Fine. I asked to see his student ID, and he said he lost it. Then I asked him if he could send me a selfie of him in the hospital uniform, and he said he doesn't like the way he looks in a white coat. He sends me other selfies all the time. I feel like at this point he's lying, but some of my friends say I'm being paranoid. If he is lying, how should I prove it? Edit, he's not actually my boyfriend, he's just someone I've been seeing frequently. I just wrote that for the ease of the title. Edit. Felt it was worth noting that these past 6 weeks have been summer vacation, so he hasn't needed to be in class. He said he would get a new student ID when classes start. Relevant comments, deleted user. Honey, you need to walk away. The red flags are waving in the breeze loudly. If he will lie about this, there is no limit to what he'll lie about. Does he even work where he says he does? OP responds, I've been to his office job and met his coworkers, so yes, I know he works 40 hours in an office. Knight Rider Girl 80. Let me tell you this from the perspective of someone who caught a liar. Once you catch them in a lie this big, the trust is gone. You're always going to have it in the back of your mind that he's lying, even when he's telling the truth. Lying about being in medical school is a big lie. Deleted user. Of course he's lying. Of course he is. Wow, that is all kinds of manipulation and crazy shit. You already know this, don't you? I'm trying to be kind, but why haven't you called him out? Really? Why on earth would you buy into this deceit? I'm guessing you're afraid that you'd find out the truth and then be confronted with whether or not you need to end the relationship, and you don't want to end the relationship. I get it, but this is so ridiculous that I'm worried for you. He has to have a student ID. Does he have a parking sticker? I'm guessing not, and he's going to give you some stupid excuse as to why not. Your friends say you're being paranoid? LOL. Are they really friends? Nope, and absolutely not. If this guy is in medical school, then I'm not an ER nurse. Granted, retired. A 10-year-old knows how many bones are in the human ear. Don't minimize your suspicions. You are right. You are smart. He is lying. I'm not even buying the overseas medical school story based on his knowledge of the human body. He sounds manipulative. Please be careful. OP responds, the first month we dated, I only saw him 2 or 3 times, and the last month has been summer vacation, so no classes. I didn't really think about it. I only started really getting suspicious when we had the conversation about ear bones, which was 3 weeks ago. Now I've looked back and realized how suspicious it all sounds. The deleted user responds, it isn't even that suspicious, it's just lying, and he gets angry when you proved him wrong? Girl, you've only been dating this lunatic for a short time. Trust me, he's not in any prestigious medical school. He's not in any medical school. I doubt he's even in college given the lack of any supportive evidence. If he's lying about this, I know he is. What else is he lying about? You have to have a completed bachelor's degree, usually in the sciences at an accredited university, and then pass the MCAT to be considered for med school. And that's not even a guarantee. I have a couple of MD friends. Sent one a screenshot and she laughed so hard, said if he's telling the truth, she doesn't want him working on her patients. He's lying. I'm sorry you're going through this, but better to find out the truth. There's a couple ways. Ask him what he got on his MCAT, medical college admissions test. It is required for enrollment into any accredited medical school. It does include a lot of science questions on it, so that is why most doctors have a bachelor's in the science arena. Ask him what classes he's taking. It should be a lot of anatomy, biology, chemistry, histology. Most first years study on average 4 to 8 hours a day. My friend is a biology and chemistry genius, and she studied 3 to 4 hours daily her first year. It got worse the second year. Medicine is one of the hardest degrees in the world. If it was that easy, we'd all be MDs. I'm so sorry you're going through this, but better to know the truth. Listen to your gut. Not for nothing, but my MD friend also mentioned that someone who goes to these extremes doesn't have low self-esteem. Usually, when they're caught, they play the "I have low self-esteem" or "I just wanted you to like me" or "I was in medical school and I was planning on returning." It's a little scarier than that, so be careful. Sometimes these people really suffer from significant mental illness. You've only dated him for 4 months, and they are quite good at hiding it. Please be careful. Good luck. Update: September 12th, 2021, 5 days later. So the response was overwhelming, and I'm glad I got confirmation on my suspicions because I felt like I was going crazy. I broke up with him over FaceTime and didn't tell him the real reason, just gave a vague explanation about not being ready to date anybody. There are other things in addition to my post that I'm pretty sure he was also lying about. I didn't bring any of his lies up because honestly, I feel slightly scared of a person who would lie about things like that. He didn't take it very well and sent me a barrage of texts trying to guilt trip me and also was borderline harassing me into meeting up with him. Apparently, he bought me a present and was trying to force me to take it. Overall, just really gaslighty and manipulative. I eventually just stopped responding and I haven't heard anything in a few days. Hopefully, never have to see or speak to him again. Thanks to you for all of your responses. Going forward, I'll be a lot more cautious about who I believe. Relevant comments. AU Rugby. I didn't see your original post, but I'm actually a medical student, and that guy is 100% lying about being in medical school. You have next to no free time outside of class and studying. There is no way the dude is working 40 hours and is a good test taker to get through school. It's just not possible. The level of detail and volume of work is so massive that it requires daily practice. Sounds like the guy was in school, flunked out, and hasn't accepted it yet. The shippy cup comments. Lamau, same. I'm a mess student and just saw both of her posts. Not a chance in hell that dude was working 40 hours a week and attending. I am really glad that OP decided to do the confrontation over FaceTime instead of in person because he did have a really interesting reaction when he was corrected about the amount of bones in the human ear not being 30, which is an insane amount of bones to have in an ear. Your hand has like 27 and your foot's like, I think 27, it might be 26. I can make it 27 with an aluminum bat, but still, the ear is not nearly as mechanically complicated as your hands and feet. So that is ridiculous. But I do think that OP took the right approach of breaking up over FaceTime, because not only did they not bring up any of the potential lies or drama or any of that kind of stuff, they kept it as vague as possible, disconnected themselves, and got themselves to safety. While not as fun for the drama side for us, it's better for OP and their safety. There's actually a comment from OK Pomegranate 3018 which goes over a lot of historical cases and just crimes that are eerily similar to this one. Here's a sampling of what she might have been looking at soon. Mark Hacking, 2004. Mark Hacking killed his pregnant wife Lori in Salt Lake City after she discovered he had been lying for years about his academic and career success. The lie? Mark pretended to have graduated from the University of Utah and to have been accepted into medical school at the University of North Carolina. The discovery? In July of 2004, Lori discovered her husband's deception and confronted him, after which he shot her as she slept. The outcome? Hacking reported his wife missing, leading to a massive community search effort before he confessed to his brothers and was charged with murder. He eventually pled guilty and was sentenced to 6 years to life in prison. Jean-Claude Romand, 1993, for 18 years. French imposter Jean-Claude Romand maintained a facade of being a successful doctor and World Health Organization researcher, even convincing his family that he had a prestigious career. The lie? Romand lied about passing his second-year medical exams and instead spent his days pretending to go to work while funding his family's lifestyle with fraudulent investments. The discovery? When his fraud was about to be exposed in January of 1993, Roman murdered his wife, their 2 children, and his parents. The outcome, he then attempted to murder his mistress and tried to commit suicide but failed. He was arrested and later convicted. After murders, Roman was sentenced to life in prison but was released on parole in 2019. Satya Thakur, 2020, I'm sorry if I'm butchering that pronunciation, British man Satya Thakur attempted to murder his wife and other family members after his wife, Nisha, suggested a trip that would expose his long-held secret. The lie, after failing his medical exams a decade earlier, Thakur had pretended to be a practicing physician by reading medical books in the library and pretending to work night shifts. The discovery? When his wife proposed a trip to Los Angeles. Thakur knew he could not afford it and that his lies would be exposed. The outcome? Thakur attacked his wife, mother-in-law, and 2 other relatives with a knife. He was convicted and sentenced to 28 years in prison. I'm glad as hell she got out. I'm, of course, by reading that comment, not saying the boyfriend would have done this, but I am pointing out the fact that there is a history of cases that are eerily similar to this. Hey, welcome to the outro. Don't forget this whole thing is basically brought to you by GamerSupps. If you like caffeine, then I can't recommend GamerSupps enough. Use code Oz at checkout to support the channel. And I do actually use this product. It's replaced all other sources of caffeine for me because I feel good. It doesn't have any of that extra stuff that a pre-workout blend might have. It's with a couple of the extra things to make it so you don't crash as hard. It's good. I like it. Personally, if you really want a good flavor, try the Soda Press and Pear or even the Dragon Fruit Punch. Those 2 are my personal favorites right now.